good, y'all? It's your boy Yada.
It's your boy Sam.
You tuning into another episode of the Envelope Pushers podcast.
Yes, sir.
Want to tell me what the envelope pusher is?
Yes, sir. I got you. So pushing the envelope means testing the limits, trying out new things, and often radical ideas.
So we do every episode, right? Make sure to go check out the last episodes.
Episode 11.
Yup.
Black masculinity. This one should follow right into it. This time we got some sisters on, and we got Jamil back on too. So it's a blessing to have all y'all back on here, and we're gonna let y'all introduce yourselves as well.
Ladies first. Yeah, you want to start?
Yes. Ladies first.
My name is Remy. Other fun facts.
You can say a fun fact, might as well.
Yeah. Or you can just introduce yourself. Either one.
I'll just start out with that. You go.
Hi, I'm Ariel.
Hey, welcome.
Yes. Jamil, introduce yourself again too, if people just clicking on this one as well, and a little bit of your background and your podcast as well.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Jamil Muhammad from the Krishna podcast. I appreciate you all having me on once again.
Yes, sir. Pleasure. Had to have Jamil back on, man. It was a good conversation last time we was on here, so it was only right we brought him back. And this time, we got Remy and Ariel with us to kind of answer some questions. As a whole, have a little discussion, peaceful discussion, a positive environment, creating a positive environment for a peaceful discussion, just to get some insights on how both sides is looking. Of course, last time we talked about how Black masculinity is being attacked, not only by, social media and entertainment, but also by each other. And some things that can be misunderstood when it comes to masculinity and also just Black men in general, and as well as our image. So we wanted to bring other perspectives on, and we wanted to have women on to share their perspectives, some of their experiences and some of their viewpoints on masculinity, one, and then also the Black family being two. So y'all, if you want to start us off with our first question, we can get straight into it.
So our first question, I'll ask y'all, what is the state of the Black family today, right? What are y'all thoughts and opinions on it? How's it working out for us? You want to start first, Sam?
Yeah, I can start off first. So State of the Black family, of course, it's always been under attack, at least from once we first stepped foot in America. The Black family has always been under attack. I think more towards the 60s and 70s, people kind of go back to that golden era of the Black family being a little bit more together. But then, once we hit the 80s, it kind of got deviated from with the war on drugs, which specifically attacked Black families and breaking up the Black families, specifically targeting Black men and kind of putting them in a rut, in a situation to kind of break us up. So currently the state of the Black family is, I don't know what we're not in a great state. I don't hear a lot of people talking about marriages or building together. I think the most things that I'm hearing is, we are all just chasing a bag, essentially. And you can't be wrong with that because we live in a capitalist society, but that's all I'm hearing right now. It's not a lot of talks of marriage on social media. So, or even just building together. So that's why we have this platform and this podcast right now, to kind of create that conversations to combat that. But state of the Black family, it's not in good health. That's what I'll say.
Sure. And I'll go next. I agree. It's definitely in turmoil right now. You know what I'm saying? We can get it back though. You know what I'm saying?
Because that's definitely true.
Because I think we'll realize, when we're at our strongest is when our men and our women are together. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, like, I guess marriage, like the concept of that's a lot different. Like our grandparents were probably getting married a lot younger too, I guess, and just at a higher rate. So there's definitely been like a lot of changes. We've been through a lot. So I say it's really not at a good state right now. What about you, Jamil?
Oh, hold on, Ariel. Raise your hand.
Okay. Oh yeah, you can go.
I'll wait. No, it's fine. I'll wait.
Yeah, just go ahead. Start up whenever you feel like you need to speak or something. We ain't,
Yeah,
just go ahead.
You don't gotta raise your hand or no.
Yeah.
No, just courtesy. Zoom courtesy. to piggyback on what you guys say, I would think that so far the Black families are being separated. I wouldn't say all, because I do know Black families that's together and it's beautiful. The husband and the wife raised the children together and the children turned out excellent. So that is still a thing. It still exists. It's just, unfortunately, it's not as popular. More so, we're pretty much separate. Like you said, everybody's more so focused on chasing a bag, but it's more so, it gets like that because the relationships don't work out. So, it makes it awkward, two people that used to be in love, now you have this child that you created, and it's like, it makes it awkward. Most of the time the woman just takes the child and raise the child, and then the father, is there, pops in whenever he feels like, he needs to be present. And that became the norm for us, unfortunately. And it just confuses us. It makes us like continue the broken cycle, because if the father's not around to teach the young girl who's turning to a woman how to be loved, she don't know how. And if the father isn't around to teach the boy how to be a man, he has to try to figure it out, and chances are he won't find out, he won't know how. So, and it just continues and continues. But we're just separating, but not all of us. It's some of us that still believe in having structure and having a family. So if we could all just get on one page, I feel like we lead the way. If you could give love, then you'll want it, you'll want to give it, and so we'll be back on track. But right now, it's just a tough time. We're all pretty separate right now, doing our own thing, but it's not to say it's gone forever.
Thanks.
Sure. All right, Remy, you want to give your thoughts on it, thoughts and opinions?
Yeah, I guess to piggyback off of that, I think that, yeah, like our generation, with social media and with lots of other influences, it's been like the norm, I feel like, has kind of changed. But then also at the same time, women have more opportunities now, like more getting educated and starting our own businesses and stuff like that. So that, I feel like that has also changed what women, I feel like their opportunities and what they'd kind of settle for in the past. Now they don't really have to settle because, hey, I'm making my own money, I have my own business, that type of a thing. So I don't know, I feel like we can change it, but it starts with like an awareness that, look, this is a problem, this is something we have to work towards, and it's better if we work together instead of just, bashing Black women on one hand, or then, bashing Black men on the other hand. Like coming together and actually listening and seeing like, okay, what is, where is there maybe some truth to something? Where can we actually come together instead of, be at each other's throats all the time? I feel like we can start there.
Sorry, you said like, are you saying because nowadays everybody are more comfortable with being independent, we just pretty much have to learn how to come back together and work together to be a family?
Yeah, I feel like hearing each other out instead of, blaming, like more conversations like this. I feel like, starting more conversations that are healing instead of attacking on either side.
Yeah, coming together more so, and being able to talk will make us a family again.
Facts.
Communication is key.
Yeah.
Jamil, you want
to go ahead?
Absolutely. I think the current state of the Black family is definitely a state of disconnect. It's not unified. Generally, I would say.
Mm.
In general, we're not together on one page. That's why I was talking about family economics, why I was talking about family relationships, and dealing with trying to mend all of this trauma that we have in our society. So I think one thing that we don't realize that we've been taught is to value everything other than us being unified. So we do value more so now money, education, and trying to, you know, come up. But one key component that we're missing is doing it together, because we always kind of had this individualistic outlook on things. So how can I do it for myself rather than how can I do this with my people? And I think the way that it looks to other communities that are not Black is also in an ununified manner. So the current state is ununified in my mind, and it also we're missing that key component of really valuing what it really means to be unified and together.
Yeah, I like that answer. You can go ahead, Ariel.
It's just interrupt. Actually, to piggyback on what Jamil said, I completely agree 100%. Like, for instance, you know, beauty supply stores or restaurants or even nail salons that, you know, foreigners own, what they do is they all come together as community and they put into this one pot. And once they like made their profit back, it's time for the next person to become successful. And they all invest into that person. And when the money is made back, it's time to invest into the next person, creating like a generation of wealth for themselves and within their community, because they are united, like you were saying, like it's take us being united and stuff like that. So I will hope to see like one day us do it. Pretty much like we really don't do that. Maybe for like friends or family, but not like, oh, because, oh, you're Black, I'm Black. Let's come together, I'm gonna invest into you. When I make the money back, we're gonna invest into them. When we make that money back, we're gonna invest. We don't do that. We pretty much is like all about ourselves. So it's crazy that you mentioned that, because I agree 100%. And they do know. I think it's definitely noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
Because even we laugh and say the Hispanics always crowd each other in one house and crowd each other in one space. But when you think about it, think about how much money they save. Think about how much they can pretty much do and provide for the next person living in that house, because everybody come together. I have my little cousin's mother, she's half Hispanic and half African American. So like in their household, you know, one person watch all the kids while they go out. The rest of the people go out to work. And that's something that I wish that more of us did, because a lot of things single mothers complain about is, well, I need a babysitter. I need a babysitter. I need a babysitter. Well, you take some more single mothers, live together, and maybe somebody it just help each other out. You get what I'm saying? Like, you know, like you said, unity, that is key. That is key.
I definitely agree with that. And I like how you kind of extended it further than just, you know, the nucleus of the family. So just the mother, the father, and the child. I like that you kind of extended it more to kind of a village raises a child, and a village, you know, villages come together and they bring the whole community with them. So I like that you extended that part as well and put that out there, because that is huge. I don't think we push that as much as a community. And when we do push kind of that village, it's almost taken as, you know, people think of it as being in a gang, but we know how those started. But that's the only time that I kind of see like that village mentality, other than like social change pushes. So I like that you brought that up.
Yeah, I support it if it's the right type of gang, not gang banging, but if it's like back in the day where they pretty much came together and they like gave back to the community, that would be amazing to see that happen nowadays, instead of pretty much war between each other over materialistic items. That would be pretty cool.
For sure. I like the point that you brought up too, like kind of like, I don't know, like you kind of brought in, I mean, you didn't say these exact words, but it was kind of like being patient, like seeing somebody else succeed in your community. And because they're succeeding now, it doesn't mean you won't succeed, but for you to succeed, maybe somebody else has to do their thing first, or maybe, you know, we got to help this person build his business up so then I can have mine later or something. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times we want to be the one, like we want to be the MVP. You know what I'm saying? We want all the attention, but maybe like helping other people will also contribute to your success as well. But like, I feel like at times we definitely don't see it as that. Like we just want to be the only one doing it. You know, we don't want to do it as a community. So.
Thanks, because what do we see all the time? We see the it's my time, I'm coming up now, you know, it's my come up, I did this by myself. Like we glorify like doing it the hardest ways. Like even with parents, like people will get on you if you 24 still living with your parents, like, and you know, others exactly. Exactly. And other sides, they letting their kids stay in the house until their kids can afford a house at 28. But you did it on your own, and you praying on a house at 50. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like the other side gets to do that, and nobody says nothing to the other side. But we, in our community, you 26 still at your mom's, even though you stay, not being a bum or nothing. You still on your grind, but you making your money, and you still at your mom's. What you doing? Why ain't you got your own spot? This and that. Like it, it's bigger things. Like we got to start worrying about the bigger issues and actually building wealth inside of our families. And I think that's one thing that I don't like being pushed. I did this by myself. We don't give no gratitude to anybody else that's part of our community and part of our come ups, whatever you want to call it. And that's one thing that I like to do. I like to show gratitude to the people that got me to any position I'm in, because I know it took a lot to get. I know it takes a lot to get Black people to certain levels, and it's not just by yourself ever. So I like that y'all brought that up as well.
And actually, piggyback on that, I honestly feel like now we're getting ready to go into the topic. That's where, to me, toxic masculinity comes from. And that could be from both sides, either male or female. Like, because that whole I did it by myself and it was all me. I really don't like saying it. I don't say that. And I don't like when people say that, because it's like you don't even give credit to God. You didn't wake yourself up. So how you do that? How? Tell me, how did you do that? So but I feel like that kind of creates it where you pretty much in your head, you kind of make yourself your own little God. You kind of put yourself in that position where you like, well, I did this by myself and I don't need anybody. I don't need any help. And it kind of like builds that pride up, which having pride is a good thing, but it's like, it's a bad thing at the same time, because when you have too much pride, like you can't even grow, honestly. You can't grow like that. But yeah, that's my 3 cents. My little 3 cents.
Sure. And that kind of goes into our next topic, Kenyatta, if you want to read it off for us.
Yeah, so the next question is like, what are some disconnects between Black men and Black women? Y'all want to go first?
Why do you keep looking at me?
I thought that was a good question.
It's all good. It ain't got to be too harsh. It ain't got to be too deep. You just want to know a few, just to hear the other side, another perspective.
Yeah.
I feel like off top, communication, I feel like is a big disconnect. Yeah, I feel like you can even go into that just with the way that women, I feel like, communicate versus men. Like, and this is just generalizing, but I feel like a lot of the times, like, I don't know, I feel like girls kind of think more emotionally, and like men kind of think more like
rationally.
Yeah, rationally, and so there can be kind of a disconnect there, especially like over something that, maybe to you might seem like a small thing, like you brush it off, but to her, she's overthinking it. She's, wondering like, what's going on type of a thing. Like, I don't know. And like situations like that with disagreements or stuff that is miscommunicated, it's like how you discuss it and how you go about it can, like, I feel like make or break, the relationship moving forward.
I think that was good.
That's just one example, though, that I could think of.
Okay.
I think that was good. I think that was a really good. Mine would be backgrounds, just because I honestly was just acknowledging this earlier, finding out what happened to Polo G. I feel like men have it tougher. I'm not going to be oblivious and say, oh, women have it tougher, da-da-da-da. No, honestly, I feel like Black men have it the toughest. And it's to the point where I'm actually scared to have one. Just because I know how tough it is. I feel like I would probably be terrified if I had a son. And I feel like because of that, that is like a disconnect. I feel like because men have it tougher, they're supposed to be tough, so they have it tougher. And because of that, I feel like that's kind of is a disconnect. That might be why some of the guys are so aggressive. Some guys are so aggressive because they feel like they always have to be tough. Which piggybacks on what my nephew, who's 6 years old, told me out his own mouth, that he feels like he could be nice around my house because I live in the suburbs, but around where we grew up at, he feels like he has to be tough. And, you know, I just feel like background definitely plays a disconnect, because sometimes he can be a little mean, even to me. I'm his auntie, and sometimes he can be a little aggressive with me.
Mm-hmm.
But when he's at my house, he's not aggressive with me. But that's what I'm gonna say.
Definitely hear you on that one. And I like that you kind of acknowledged kind of how the other side might be feeling, or how Black men might be feeling. But then I think too, like, it's kind of like a battle, because Black men and Black women have been hurt so much, and you know, and suffered through a lot of trauma, especially now. Not now, but women are able to, or are voicing their opinion more and their feelings more, which is definitely respected. And the things that they go through, sometimes, you know, us as a community don't acknowledge it always. Black men don't acknowledge it always, sometimes being too aggressive, or we internalize things differently, as far as mental things, because I know Black women in certain spaces, they're attacked way more harshly than Black men. And then in other spaces, Black men are attacked more harshly than Black women. And I think it's kind of that disconnect that you guys have brought up in that communication, where, you know, it's okay that it's not okay, but, you know, we're both being hurt in different spaces, and
Right.
we're trying to go against each other on who's being kind of hurt the most. And so, and that battle in itself is wrong and negative, because we shouldn't be being hurt at all. And I think those are the opportunities where we need to kind of lean on each other, where women, you know, they can think more of more solutions for certain problems and certain aspects that they can control. As far as, you know, Black women have been going up and raising the bar for education and entrepreneurship. Some areas where, you know, Black men still struggle with, and then also the body image things, some of the body images and some of the Western standards that Black women have to deal with in the box that they're put in, that some Black men, we don't necessarily think about our hair every time we go into professional places. You know, if we don't have dreads or a big afro, then we can essentially skate by with, you know, our hair looking either way. But Black women being so versatile, and how many hairstyles they can put in that are all still being attacked, I think that's another light that, you know, Black men can shed a light on to protect Black women more in those spaces when it comes to that. So I like that you guys talked about that communication and that kind of disconnect there. And I'm gonna let Jamil or Kenyatta go next and talk about what they think.
Yeah, Jamil, you want to go next?
Most definitely, man. Y'all been, I like what I'm hearing so far. Especially the first thing that came to my mind was communication, because there have been many times I'll be, you know, conversing with a young lady, and then I'll try to get my point across directly, and the point she's trying to get across is like kind of ambiguous, and I'm just like, what are you saying, like, you know? So it's like I'm noticing the way that I'm thinking or trying to communicate is not the same as women. You kind of have to, the disconnect is really understanding one another, because it's like,
Right.
what she's saying might not be exactly, but you got to know what she means in a way. And then I also like what Sam said. We talked about body image, because that's another disconnect in understanding what it means to love yourself. And, you know, understanding where you are and where you want to be, you could love both of those things, right? So what does that actually mean to love yourself? What does that mean to love your brother or your sister in the way where you all are sharing love with one another, rather than thinking, when you see another Black person, you're thinking about something negative. So I think, to me, one of the major points of disconnect is the lack of self-love, because you hear all the time, you can't love yourself, you can't love nobody else. And that goes for your brother, your sister, any other Black person that you see.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure. Like, definitely communication is definitely, I remember when I said communication is key when the sister made a point earlier, and that's definitely like one of the biggest disconnects, you know, because even like conversations like this, like I've had conversations with Black women that just went left, you know what I'm saying? Because we just can't get to an understanding. Or maybe the words I'm using, it's like they don't agree with, or I don't know, you know what I mean? It's just, you know, on both sides, it's always like a, something just with the understanding, you know what I'm saying? So Yeah, definitely. Communication. What else is coming to mind? Yeah, that's really it. Just communication and understanding. They definitely go hand in hand. So that's what I think. I think that's the biggest.
Yeah, and if I was talking too much at the beginning, just to wrap all that up, man, is just understanding the struggles of both sides, that both sides are facing. I think that's one of the bigger disconnects that we're facing with in the Black family, because we're struggling as a whole, but then two, understanding their separate struggles, and how we need to attack those battles, whether it's from the smallest thing of whether that's physical or the mental. It's on all fronts, and I feel like, or what I've been perceiving, with men, it's a lot of physical, at least from the other side, and we can get to some of the intersectionalities within the Black family too as well. But the physical, and then the mental side, and the perception side for Black women, at least, that's how I perceive like where most of the attacks is coming from. And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, when it comes to that, because what I hear often from media, Black women are loud, they got attitudes, physical appearance, hair, like it's usually that's what I'm hearing. What you said? Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
And if somebody else do it, they're spicy.
Yeah, exactly. They're spicy.
Right. But Latina does it, they spicy, right?
They're spicy.
Yeah. So I think that's what I see. I see a lot, and then of course on the Black men's side, it's a lot of the physical stuff there. So we can go on to our next question.
Yeah. Well, actually, okay. I actually just thought of this, and since we are talking about communication and Black men and Black women, I have a question for the sisters, right? And this is something like I've noticed. Do you think Black women are good at taking criticism and self-reflecting?
I'd be honest. I can only speak for myself.
Yeah.
Hey, go
It
ahead.
depends on who it is. If you try to criticize me, and to me, honestly, in my personal opinion, I feel like you don't have your stuff together, I'm not going to take it well, because you can't call the kettle black. Mm-mm. If you're a fry, you can't call me black. If you're a kettle, we're both black. But if I feel like, okay, I respect this person, and they're coming to me and they're saying like, oh, Ari, I feel like this, that, I'm going to take that and I'm going to respect that, and I'm actually going to fix it. I'm going to work on it because I respect that person. So if,
Yeah, I feel like it's how that criticism is like portrayed, like how it's conveyed. Like if it's just destructive, like then yeah, like I feel like no, like I'm not gonna take that. But if it's where it's like a conversation, I feel like that's where communication comes in, like how you communicate that. Then yeah, I mean obviously like there are times on social media where like I'll see people say like, oh, Black women can't take criticism, they can't da 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 da, which I don't think that's true. I just feel like with what we were talking about earlier with Black women, like our appearance being judged constantly, like for more criticism on that, of course it's like, oh come on, like it's enough now, like the reaction is going to be annoyed, where like versus if it's something that's more constructive, like if it's just the same kind of destructive criticism over and over again, it's not really going to be taken well, as opposed to something that actually is like a conversation, like what we're doing now. That's what I think.
Can I piggyback off of that really fast?
Yep. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so like she was saying, on social media, sometimes how Black women are criticized. I'm going to bring up the most recent topic, with is women when we go out in our bonnets and scarves and stuff like that.
And I think that was a point that was just Black women to Black women. Like men, I don't even think we're involved in that one, but that's an example for sure.
Yeah, it was just Black women to Black women saying that, oh, you shouldn't go out in your bonnet and scarf and stuff like that. And to be honest, I think if you're not paying for that young lady's hairstyle, you should just mind your business. You don't know what she has going on. You don't know how her hair is. Say if she just had found out she had to go through chemo treatment, she just shaved her head off, but she's not comfortable to go outside, so she threw a bonnet on. Mind your business. If you're not paying for that hairstyle, whether it's paying to get her natural hair done or a weave hairstyle, mind your business. If it's not you, then just mind your business, because you just never know what that person is going through. You don't know their situation, if they can even afford to get their hair done, but they don't want to go out with an afro on top of their head. Just like, it's not cool to attack people based on that, like, because you just never know. If that person could be a billionaire, but so happen they might have got a hairstyle they didn't like, so they threw a bonnet on it because they're going to their next appointment, which is in a different country or something. You just never know. That shouldn't even be the main focus anyways. You should go based on how they treat you versus how they appear. If church say you can come as you are in front of like God, then I feel like, who are humans, like, honestly? So it's just like, no, I don't like that at all. And the celebrity Monique, she's a comedian, and she was just saying, oh, you should pull a young lady aside and tell her, have more respect for yourself. That's not okay, because like I said, you never know what that person is going through. Say they only got $5 to their name. They want their hair done. They can only afford a $1 do-rag. Who are you to tell them they should take it off their head? If they're comfortable in it, let them be.
I like that answer.
Yeah,
Sure. And I would ask too. So I think Monique started off that conversation. Was there a better way of explaining that, or a better way of asking for a black standard, or essentially a black standard of appearance? Not saying, you having your bonnet off needs to be the standard or anything like that, but is there a better way she could have went about saying that?
Yeah. And I would say even with that, I feel like there's a problem if there has to be a black standard of appearance, because why do we have to have a standard, but then other groups don't? Like, exactly. I feel like that very point is what's destructive to our community. And like, I feel like with this conversation, obviously there's going to be some women that, feel a certain type of way. Maybe they never wear a bonnet outside. Okay, that's fine. That's what you want to do. Some women, they feel more comfortable, or they're protecting their hair from the style. You just never know. I feel like it's just one of those conversations where we try to make it into respectability politics, and like, oh, we should always be presented well when we go outside. And, like, when you get to the root of that, like, I feel like just that very root of that is racism, like ingrained racism, like feeling like we have to be our best selves when we're outside all the time to, appease, society. And I feel like, yeah, that's just what I think on that.
And to piggyback on what you said, I think you're right. We hold ourselves to certain standards that we don't hold other groups to. I went to a very diverse high school, and it would be all types of people walking in with pajamas on. Like, it's like, no, if one person can't walk in with pajamas, nobody should be able to walk in with pajamas. And that's just how it is. If you're not going to, matter of fact, if you're not going to be handing these people out blouses, maybe they can only afford pajamas, then I'm going to just mind my own business. I'm going to just make sure I come how I feel like I feel comfortable. And they obviously going to do what they want to do, because that's what they want to do.
Okay, I definitely hear that. I definitely understand that one.
I guess like the next question I want to ask. So, okay, this, like, I've heard this before, like this, like respectability politics or something like that. Now, I understand, like, with some examples, you gave, maybe it's like, okay, like, if that person can afford, then like you can't really criticize them. But do you believe there should be like a standard of, like, maybe not all the time, but in certain settings, should Black folks have like a standard of like, this is how we're gonna carry ourselves? You know what I'm saying? Not just clothing, but like even like just attitude and things we say. You know what I'm saying?
As far as attitude and morals, yes. At all times, your morals should be at its all-time high. And that's just because that's one of like the commandments. If anything, like that's following the commandments. So yes, as far as morals, of course, I don't care if you're wearing a garbage bag, as long as your morals is correct.
Okay. Jamil, you got anything to add to that?
I think that conversation is very, at first when I heard people talk about it, I thought it was real petty. but I didn't realize it being such a, you know, kind of like a big deal in a way. I think just based off of how I grew up, that people should, you know, you when you're being, I can see if you went inside your house is different. The way I grew up is you always, if you're leaving the house, you leave it presentable looking, because you never know who you can run into. And it's kind of like a show of self-respect. I don't know if that's a cultural thing for me, but that's how I view it. So I wouldn't I wouldn't necessarily say that I would be like, you know what I'm saying, pro bonnet. This in the way I view it. But I do think in general you should go to places looking presentable, like especially if they're in places that are, you know, a lot of people. I can see you running in the store or something, but like going to the mall or to just certain events, that's how I was raised. So that's what I think about it.
Hey, also I want to ask you in particular, like, do you want to give people a background? Because, like, you know, I understand the way you grow up, right? You know, learning, you know, in the Nation of Islam, right? You want to explain to them like the FOI MGT standard on that, like your perspective on it.
Absolutely. You both men and women practice modesty in a way where you are respectable and you respect other individuals. It's very military, I would say a militant discipline kind of upbringing. So you always make sure your nails, your hair, face, body is clean, everything. And you just have like a certain kind of similar to the military, how they always have to be neat and everything, how they present themselves. So that was part of my upbringing, and you know, it's brought a lot of reward to it. So that's a little bit of my background, how I was raised.
Definitely hear that. Respect that too.
100. You got any input on this, Sam?
As far as the bonnet conversation, me personally, I don't really have too much on it. I think it kind of goes back to when everybody was kind of telling black men and black boys to, you know, stop sagging and pull up their pants, or, you know, all y'all wear is Jordans, like you can't wear Jordans in a certain setting and things like that. And then also too, dreads in a certain setting as well. So I think that kind of goes back to it. Kind of just, it's not the same, but it is the same because, you know, I think from early on, there was like a whole generation against people sagging, and you know, I'm not pro go sag, but it was still, you know, some people couldn't afford a belt or something like that, or my jeans is 3 times big because I can't afford to get jeans, so these is hand-me-downs from my pops or something like that, or I'm dressing like this, you know, I'm dressing like the thug or the gangster because, you know, this is all I got. You know, my mom can only afford me to get a black hoodie to rock with some black Air Force Ones. And we know the name that black Air Force Ones got now. You know, if you wear black Air Force Ones, you the thug, you the dusty one out the group if you got on black Air Force Ones. But I think it kind of goes back to that. And as far as women, you know, I don't understand all the issues that they go through with their hair and their image. So, you know, when black women start talking on certain issues with among themselves, I tend to stay out of that and let them figure it out until they come to an agreement on where it's supposed to be. But as long as we're not looking crazy as a unit, then that's fine with me. As long as we're not looking crazy, you know, in certain settings, I want to be, you know, I want to exude that black excellence, you know, when I'm with my significant other, or I'm with the opposite gender.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, of course, like what Jamil said, like if you're raised like that, then you should go outside your best foot forward. That's how I was raised, even when it comes down to how you speak. My grandma was very big on grammar. So if I said, I couldn't really speak slang around my grandmother, I couldn't at all. So I get that. But something that we have to teach the community is, just because other people do that, we're not supposed to like judge them or like be mean to them or like try to. What Monique was suggesting people to do was almost like, I don't know, it's kind of, it could go easily be bullying. She was encouraging other women to go up to women and tell them, oh, you should care about yourself more than to come outside looking like that. That could easily be taken the wrong way, and it could escalate and do something. It could be something very different. So you just never know. If you walk up on the wrong girl and tell her, like, you know what, you outside with your scarf on, you need to have more respect for yourself. You don't know that girl. She could easily pop you on your face, and it's a problem. It's a problem. Like, why this girl just punching me? Oh, because I told her she needs to have, because I don't know what she has going on. It could be her birthday and she's on her way to get her hair done. And I told her to have more respect for herself, and she felt disrespected. She popped me. So it's like, it's really how you go about it. That's why I'm like, play it safe. You want to play it safe, look the other way. Just like, as long as you come correct and you just, if you're comfortable, that's how you come in. But Monique was suggesting people to go up to the other person and tell them about themselves. I don't support that. I don't think that would be okay.
I feel you on that. I mean, even when we talked about like communication, I mean, we talked about it like between black men and black women, but I guess even amongst each other, right? Like, let's say somebody, I mean, like certain things is just hard to address, but like you said, like delivery is like important too. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm going to talk to a black man, let's say I see something I don't like, you know, there's a way to go about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I talk to him crazy, you know, he might do something crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? And you know, it's just about how we communicate with each other, right? Just, you know, being respectful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. All right, so another thing I want to bring up is I know like for the couple of points that we mentioned, it seemed like a lot of this stuff is being talked about on social media a lot. So like, and not only are black folks seeing this, but like everybody's seeing it, right? It's for the world to see. So like, how is social media affecting the image of like the black family or just black men to women relationships?
I honestly feel like some of these rappers are pursuing these boys to mistreat women. I really feel like that. And I feel like it's been going around for a very long time. Like nowadays, a lot of men like address the woman, no matter who she is, as the B word, because for some reason they feel like it's okay, even if they put it a my before they say it to make it better. Oh, this is my B. No, she's not. She's not. But I feel like that's something, because I blame social media because of that. I also blame social media with the whole body shaming. A lot of men tell me that I need to gain weight and all this other stuff because nowadays women are more fuller. So because they see on social media, women are more fuller nowadays. So they pretty much body shame me because I'm slimmer. I blame social media because of that. I blame social media for this European standard of beauty, but now it's more so Middle Eastern standard of beauty since the Kardashians are a big thing now. I blame social media because of that. I blame social media for not promoting Black wealth and just pretty much promoting buying up these expensive designers instead of saving and investing. Like you will easily catch a guy having at least 5 Gucci shirts instead of taking that money and investing into property so that could get passed down. But he got on Gucci, right? I blame social media because of that.
Yeah, I feel like so social media definitely does promote like this like fast, like, you know, rich, like made it on my own, just like how we were saying earlier, type of lifestyle. And you know, you don't really know what it took for them to get that, or if it's even real. You just see the picture and you see the likes and the follows. But I think back to like the question at hand, like I think it also, social media has made toxic seem like the cool, like the norm, the standard to, oh, I'm toxic, oh, he toxic, like you know, retweeting memes and stuff like that because, you know, Future says it or whoever raps about it, so he has all the B words, I want to be like him, or, you know. And it's like, I feel like men and women sometimes like you see in relationships, like people trying to outdo each other to be more nonchalant because you don't want to seem like the one with feelings and the one that is actually like affected by things. So, you know, it's like a tit for tat game. And I feel like that's also how social media has made it that seem like the norm. And so instead of communicating, we're just be going tit for tat. Oh, they did this, I'm gonna do that. Oh, you know, they did this, I'm gonna ghost them, or I'm gonna, you know, it's that type of a game. And so it's become, I feel like that's been very like detrimental to us trying to work together. And it's, you know, kind of perpetuated these like just like being separate from each other instead of working together. Yeah, like the toxicity.
And popping pills, like making drug abuse popular as well.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things, definitely.
I blame social media for making drug abuse popular. A lot of young people are popping prescription medication, not knowing what it actually does to the body, not knowing that this medication was made for this certain reason. So you abusing it may have effects later on. You might not see it now, but you just never know how it's going to affect your body later on. But because it's like promoted all over social media, like the lean drinking, the drinking of the medicine, it's not okay. The perk popping, all that other stuff is just not okay. Not knowing that, you know, this stuff is serious, like you're actually seriously messing up your body. Not knowing that people are actually dying every single day because of drug overdose because of this, but it's promoted from these rappers. Future gonna promote, yeah, pop perks and drink lean, but he's not gonna promote why he do it, or if he's even prescribed to even do it. Like, you don't know if he actually is getting prescribed that, or I doubt it, but you just never know. But because he says he's doing it, everybody else want to do it. So if he dies, do y'all want to die too? Because what happened to, what was that rapper who
Juice WRLD?
yeah, he did a lot of prescription pill popping and he overdosed. It's serious. That's some serious stuff. It's serious.
Okay.
I lost somebody that I went to elementary school with. He had an overdose, but I promise you, every time I seen him, I told him he needed to stop doing it. Like, I was the granny. I'm the proud granny of everybody that knows me. But it's sad. Like, it's sad because I would tell him all the time, you know, you just need to stop doing it. You need to stop doing it. But he had friends around that was promoting it. Mm-hmm. Social media was promoting it. Entertainment was promoting it. So it's just like, he just kept doing it.
Facts.
Mm-hmm. That's what social media does, though. Like, it presents a pseudo reality. So people think social media, the standards and things like that, ought to be brought into reality, and that's the disconnect in my mind. Because usually when we have like a fantasy or something that we admire and we make it into a reality, that fantasy becomes a nightmare in a way. So I've been in a couple different I wouldn't say relationships, but I've been, you know, I talked to somebody and they'll see like that one page on Instagram. It's called Me and Somebody's Son, you know, where they had like, you know, some dope picture, like a black man, black woman, vibing. So they'll try to duplicate that in real life, and it's just like, look, can it be organic? And you know, they take standards, like relationship standards from social media, and try to, you know, apply it to real life. You know what I'm saying?
For sure they do. Like the whole, oh, Ari got a Birkin because money bag buy it, so now this guy has to buy me a Birkin. No, this guy only makes $15 an hour. How can he buy you a Birkin?
Yeah, nowhere near. And I think for a lot of this topic, it was more so towards entertainment, and of course, you know, us as a community, that's oftentimes how a lot of us can start from the bottom and reach new heights very quickly. I like that you brought up hip hop in general. I think hip hop, especially just rapping, like rap and sometimes R&B now, because the R&B dudes is getting down a little different than in the past. But it's kind of it's definitely, yeah, it's definitely changing. I think it's kind of always been like that for men, and then as women kind of came into hip hop, and being more noticed, it was another message that kind of got pushed. So, you know, one side just kind of disrespecting Black women through their music, and then to introducing some female rap that kind of separated the family even more by, you know, rapping about the Birkins, and if he ain't got this, then he can't get me. If he ain't, you know, a porn star, then we can't do nothing. If, you know, he ain't finna touch me if we ain't, you know, on this level. And then also people glorifying those relationships. I think sometimes we get caught up in glorifying these hip hop and these entertainers' relationships, whether that's male or female. And, you know, oftentimes they're not getting married. They're just, you know, boyfriend and girlfriend. They'll date for 6 months and people already have them as their poster. I want this type of love, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, people getting cheated on behind the scenes, people letting hall passes go behind the scenes, you know, not knowing the whole story. But, you know, they see them on IG posted up in Jamaica or Tulum or something like that. And that's the kind of life everybody wants to live. So I think that's, you know, giving a fake perception of what kind of Black love is and Black family.
That's what Jamil was just saying, pretty much the fake perception of love because of social media. Like, they see you, hey. Yeah. They see it on social media, they want to recreate it, and if they can't, it's a problem. That's literally.
Yeah. So I think that kind of goes into it. And then also social media is just a place where we all show our greatest achievements. So everybody wants to look perfect on social media. So if you're in a situation, you know, that you kind of invested in, so being in a relationship with somebody else, and you can't post that relationship on social media, it's kind of, then what's the point of being here? And I think that's another issue as far as building together and actually taking things to the next level. So I think social media does a lot of damage as far as the Black people's image, because we see it. And then also other communities getting in on Black people's image and talking down on our image, or choosing a side on people's image, on what's supposed to be perceived, whether that's white men in control of the entertainment industry pushing negative connotations and pushing abuse to Black women, or it's the certain movements attacking Black men in order to kind of gain a ground in being at the top, essentially. And I know as far as like feminist movement, some things like that, a lot of our Black women were undermined and undercutted by white women in that movement, and still being part of their family, and their family still being united, and kind of putting another cut in Black men and Black women being disconnected. So I also want to throw that in there as well, because I know social media plays a big part in that as well. So
can we please talk about it? Like, you already touched it, you tapped it on the head, now we gotta talk about it. You said how the white man is controlled of social, like pretty much the music entertainment business, which is true. But yet he hires artists to push toxicity. Thank you for that. Like, pretty much for female rappers, I've noticed that 95% of them promote prostitution. I've noticed that. And for men, 95% of them promote violence, but they're paid to do so. And those artists that don't promote that, they don't get promoted. You don't really know about them unless you just look into that stuff, which is sad. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. If Yada or Jamil want to speak on that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, I definitely agree, right? And if y'all are watching and y'all watched our our episode we had on like the entertainment industry, right? You know, we built on this, right? And a brother by the name of Professor Griff, right, really looked into this, and he was like, you know, who controls all these radio stations, right? And it was white people, right? You know, Jews in particular at that time, but it's just other groups of people that are controlling our narrative for us, right? But there was a time where hip hop wasn't really like that too, you know what I'm saying? So on
Right.
the bright side, we definitely do have a chance to change it. You know, like a lot of people are starting to make it independent, right? You know, they're starting to realize that they don't have to be on these slave record deals. You know what I'm saying? And they can start making music the way they want. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, it's definitely, we got to find a way to really control our narrative. And I don't know, because there is some people, like, you know, there's violence in their raps, and I understand if somebody's talking about, like, okay, when NWA came out, right? Now, the way they explained it, it's like they were just describing like their reality. Like they just wanted people to know what's going on in Compton. When that came out, you know, when like black folks knew this, but when other people are listening to this, they're like, wow, like people really live like this. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So I definitely think we need to realize like the difference, because, you know, kids hear that stuff and they think that now that's how they got to live their life. You know, they don't understand that, okay, I'm just trying to tell you about my reality. They see it as like, and I guess kind of like how we even talked about social media, how it's like a false reality. Like now they hear people rapping about it, or they hear people talking about this. Now I got to go do it, you know? And there's also some rappers who don't do the stuff that they're talking about either.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's also a problem.
And kind of to touch on that, we're like the only community and only genre of music that actually have to live anything that we're talking about. Um, whether that's from violence or how we treat our women or our consumption of drugs, we're the only ones that actually have to live that lifestyle. Because if you're not living that lifestyle, then you're not valid, sort of say, in our spaces. And
Right.
hopefully that's changing. I know, well, I'm just going to say, I feel like who's the top three right now within hip hop? Drake, Kendrick, and J. Cole. We can go back and forth on who's the top three, but I think those people are the people who are making the most money within the genre currently, and who have the highest status. But those three people, you know, Drake talks about what he talks about, but it's not a lot of violence, and J. Cole and Kendrick are the same way, and they try to push a positive message. So it is definitely possible for us to talk more than just degrading our community and putting a bad name on us. So it's definitely possible.
Sure. Jamil, you got anything to say?
Yes, sir. That's why one thing I'm grateful for, you know, growing up is listening to artists or viewing artists. You always have a critical eye and a critical ear. So if they're talking about these particular things, you don't have to make them your life or your real life. Like you brought up NWA earlier. One of my favorite songs they have is Dope Man. And if you're not listening with a critical ear, you'll think he's talking about himself. He's talking about how, you know, dope men are in the community growing up and how, you know, disrespectful they are. They, you know, giving a certain view. But if you're not listening critically, you would think he's living that. You know what I'm saying? So us as Black people, we got to get away from, you know, trying to think that we have to, you know, if you rap about a certain thing, or if you, even if you listen to those sort of genres, then that has to be reality, and it doesn't. You could just enjoy the art as it is, enjoy how people express themselves or relate to their audiences and things like that, but also doing it in a critical way. So you listening critically, responding critically, and go about your life in the way that you're supposed to live it.
Yeah. And just to kind of go on that, and that can bring us into the next topic of just kind of living your life and determining how you want to live it. That goes into our next question, which is, how does your parents' relationship affect how you view yours or potential relationships in the future? Y'all want to kick that off? One of y'all want to do that?
Go ahead. No, you can go first, Jamil, if you wanted to say something.
Oh, she passes to Jamil. Okay.
All right, cool.
Jamil.
One thing I was not taught but told growing up is that typically men choose women that are like their mother. So I've been thinking about that for a couple of years. I just wanted to know if y'all think that's necessarily true or not.
I think it's somewhat. My mom is a Leo and my girlfriend is a Leo, so I don't know. And I don't get into astrology like that, but those two they're dang near the same. They can start up a conversation with anybody, and they love service. So anytime somebody provides great customer service, they're the same way. So I'll say it's somewhat true.
Oh no, I don't really think that's true, right? Like, I mean, it depends. I don't know. How do I say this? I don't know. I don't really necessarily think that's true. Like, I don't really look for that. You know what I'm saying? Like to keep it real, it's like it's some things like this ain't bashing my mom, my family, or nothing. You feel me? But it's like some things like maybe I don't want my girl to do that. You know what I'm saying? Or just things I saw growing up I didn't like. So it's like, okay, maybe I don't want to be. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't really see that as true.
Yeah.
I feel like to like answer like the question in a broader perspective, I feel like at least for me, like for certain things that I noticed between my parents growing up and like they're divorced, and so certain things like I feel like I would look for the opposite, like okay, you know this didn't work out, like I feel like I feel like that does definitely like what I look for definitely um basically how I was raised definitely has something to do with what I look for, because I it's kind of like that was what I had seen, so I want to look for something like that's better. But yeah, I feel like it definitely does have an impact depending on what you saw, whether like yeah, basically how we were all saying, like certain things, like if those were good traits then you want to like find those same traits, but for other things, yeah.
Like that.
Okay. To reiterate the question, do I feel like my parents' relationships have an effect on how I find my or view my significant other? Um, in a way, yes. Just because, like you guys, I've noticed things about my parents' relationship that I didn't like, and because of that, I took that, and I'm like, well, I want this instead. So in a way, technically, their relationship did have effect on how I view people. I don't want them to be pretty much. Look, actually, my dad was a pretty much straightforward, clean cut, up, stand up type of guy, so I wouldn't mind marry somebody like that. My mom is also like a very dominant, strong individual. It's just like sometimes with two dominant people, they're bound to clash. So at that point, it's really based on like how you guys can handle it. But I I would like a dominant minded man, like somebody who's strong minded, strong will, because I believe I have to follow him. Like I do believe a woman should follow her man, and the man should follow God. So yeah, I wouldn't mind dating somebody that was kind of like my dad. He was a clean cut stand up guy.
Yeah. Appreciate it. And I think I'll go next. For me, I didn't necessarily get to see my parents' relationship. My dad was out of the house pretty early on, really not even really in the house early on. So I didn't really get to see that. So I can't really talk for their relationship. I know that they ended off cool or and whatnot. And so I'm gonna just stay out of grown folks' business, but I can talk about my experience as necessarily not growing up with a father in the household. I know for me that lays the blueprint, and that's one of the highest things on my list for once I do have a child, that I'm always there and I'm always going to be there, because I know the effects of a child growing up without a father within the household, or not being in attendance for certain things. So I think that kind of laid it down. Then also my mom, she's not a bashful person. So growing up, she never bashed my father or anything like that. And so I think for that, I kind of gained a respect in things that I perceive on my own relationship, try to be stand up and not hold things against people, because both young, at least currently right now, both young. So I kind of let some leeway there and still, stand my ground, but understanding that, certain things come to different people, and different people go through different things. So that's how I would perceive it as far as my parents' relationship, according to me and what I seen.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, to go on with that too, like it was kind of like I don't know, like yeah, my parents weren't really like together the whole time. Like they were not together like soon after I was born type stuff. So I was always like kind of like back and forth. And then my dad was there, but like he was dealing with like addiction and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So like it wasn't like fully there. It's kind of with my grandma and stuff. So But yeah, that definitely like affects how I see things. Like, cause like one of my homies, like his family cool, like they do family gatherings, like everybody's just cool. So it's like, dang, like I want a family like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to make sure I have a nice family structure, right? Like mom and dad in the house. 'Cause that's something I never experienced, but I see how other people, and it's like they seem like just happy and everything just goes together. And I know everything comes with like trials and tribulations, but when the outside looking in, that's what I see. It's like, dang, like I want something like that. So yeah, it definitely totally has like an impact of how I feel my significant other, you know, what I'm gonna look for.
And Jamil, I didn't know if you want to get back into it. I know you didn't really get to answer the question fully, because we all kind of went around and answered your question also with the main question. So if you wanted to get back to it, you can.
Yeah, let me go ahead and answer the main question. Especially when it comes to, you know, looking at relationships from when you were little, like looking at my parents. They were together up until a couple years ago. But looking at, I have to go back to I have to go back to what the lady said. Like, you would have to look at certain aspects and then say, you know, these are some things I'm not gonna do when I start my family. So there's some parts you could admire, you know what I'm saying, like in terms of structure and things like that. But when it comes to like nurturing and things like that, I've observed things and how people interact with me, so I could take that.
And I like to knock people before I come in. But what time we finna go?
Yeah, so like that's pretty much what I was saying. Like, there's some good things that I'm grateful for, and then I could take certain things and not take on the things that I had, you know, problems with. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
For sure. All right, so our next question, you know, I know we dealt with social media a lot earlier, and so we're talking about influencers, right? This is like, you know, the big question, right? I know y'all know what I'm gonna say, but what do y'all think of Kevin Samuels?
Let me like preface this first, because I don't think we really got to explain it last episode, because we did touch on Kevin Samuels last episode. But Kevin Samuels is blowing up on YouTube. He is a image consultant, and essentially he has a podcast / show where he invites majority women currently, a majority of women on the show, and he's tells them kind of about themselves and trying to get a background of who they are, and what they're asking for. He asks a lot of broad questions regarding to Black relationships and what Black women are looking for and what Black men are looking for. And of course, there's not communication, as we said, between the two groups. And so he is there, and depending on how you view him and what you take from him, and if you see it as entertainment or not, that will determine what side of the coin you're on and what your opinion is on who he is. So I'll let Ariel and
it's just like when I hear that name, it's just my blood starts to boil because he's such a narcissist.
Yeah.
Like he tells women that if they already had started a family and the relationship didn't work out with the father of their child, that they might as well give up or lower their standards. But how many times have he been married?
He got caught with a man in his bed.
Well, he's actually been. I think he's been married. He was divorced, I think.
How many times though? Exactly.
Twice.
Exactly. So that's like pretty much telling him that himself, like, you don't deserve love because you already had 3 tries and it didn't work out.
But so can I come back? Can I say one thing too? Just not cutting him no bail, but also too, we take relationship advice from Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey had a #1 selling book, and that man had how many? You know, was married how many times? That's another thing, but continue what you're saying. I just had to throw that in there because, you know, sometimes we got to take some things from other people, but we got to keep it the same.
Eyes either.
Okay.
Like, he's not a god in my eyes either, but Kevin, I've literally heard out his mouth tell a woman that she wasn't enough, or pretty much bashed her for thinking that she was beautiful, comparing them to other women and saying like, oh, well, if you're in a room with this person, how would you rate yourself? It's still a 10. I don't care if and he would compare these women to Beyonce. okay, in the room with Beyonce, I still feel like I'm a 10 because my morals are correct. My heart is a 10. And if, okay, I'm not ugly. So, but for him, one time I literally seen him take a picture of this woman who said that she was beautiful, compared herself to Beyonce, said she's just as beautiful. He posted her picture on his page for the world to bash her. And so happened, before I even watched the video, I had said, like, yeah, I do think these women are both equally beautiful because they both have features that obviously complements their parents, and they're both beautiful and unique in their own way. So then I watched the video and I was so proud that I had said that, because it's like, this guy is a real jerk off. Like, he looks like a Bill Cosby reject, and he feels like he could sit around and call other women ugly, like literally out. Like, he's just ridiculous. He's a clown. I don't like him. Let me stop there, because I don't like him. I don't like him.
Urge.
Yeah, no, to be honest, I have only seen clips of his videos that have been reposted. I don't really take the time to sit because I just know it's gonna be some BS, like bullshit. That's all I'm gonna say, because like Ariel said, I could tell from just, the clip that I had seen that he's narcissistic, because I mean, I understand, like, it's good to have a certain level of criticism, like hold our community, have these important conversations in our community, but you can't just bash women, okay, just because she's a single mother or whatever the case may be, based on their looks or this and that. I feel like it's wrong to also do that in front of an audience. It makes me wonder, what is the purpose of this? To just bash women and make yourself look good? Or what's the agenda here? That, makes me wonder about that, and also, again, why are we listening to this? Like, what are his credentials? Like Ariel said, he's, had failed relationships himself. So who is he to tell women that, no, you're not enough, you're not doing something good, you're this, that? I think that there's an issue there. But yeah,
and I'm going to say something after that. He had asked this question, and he said, oh, what do Black women owe to the community? And like, okay, he said that as if we never gave anything from the jump. Like, he didn't give us any type of credit. Like, Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks wasn't a thing. Like, we didn't help us get out of space. Like, we weren't on the front line every time it was a protest. Like, he didn't give Black women credit for anything. He didn't even acknowledge that we do have Black educators. He was just making it seem like it's not a lot of African-American teachers and stuff like that, or it's not a lot of successful African-American women. He just didn't give us credit at all. And it's just like, wow, like you wow. Like, how about it was Black women that taught civilization, but we don't get any credit? Like, I mean, yes, we do owe the community, but it's not like we don't already give to the community. And he was just making it seem like we don't give anything, or we never gave anything. And it's just like, what we owe. No, we don't owe anything, because we're already doing it. We never stop. Like Black women, we do protect Black men all the time, because if anybody comes for like a Black man in front of me, I'm gonna protect them whether I know them or not. So it's like, okay. Or if I see somebody and I know, oh, they might need something, if I have it, I'm going to give it to them, or I would gladly share a piece of advice to anybody. So it's like, Black women, we do give back to the community, but he didn't give us any credit at all. Like, it was like we never did anything. So it just kind of irritates me. He irritates me a lot.
All right, keep those. I know you dropped a couple points. Kind of keep those in mind. Like, I want to get to like Jamil, then me, and then we're gonna build on those points. All right. So Jamil, what do you think about Kevin Samuels?
I think that there's I mean, honestly, listening to what they're saying, I don't hear him giving a lot of Black women credit, and it kind of make your head itch a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, why? Why would you not? I mean, especially if your purpose is to build the community up. You got to get credit where credit is due, especially you take into account the whole civil rights movement that was fueled by women. So if you can't acknowledge that, I have some questions. When it comes to him criticizing people's expectations and things like that, I think that some of what he's saying is true. So, he kind of brings people down to reality. Like, if there's a woman that had 4 or 5 children and she's like reaching 40, and she talking about she ain't want nobody except a dude that's making 6 figures with no children, and that's going to, wife her up. He's just like, what makes you think that, he's going to pick you? And it kind of like makes the women think like, oh, that is a good question. Why would he pick me instead of somebody younger with no children? So in terms of making them think on that level, I think it could be useful. But if I were to do something like that, I wouldn't do it in that manner. But I think, you have to acknowledge some good and bad about it, because there are a lot of women that saying that, his channel helped them out to secure marriages, relationships, and things like that. But if I were to approach it, I wouldn't approach it that way. I don't believe in bashing Black women on the internet. No matter if they look like, whatever or not, you know what I'm saying? We should have a certain level of back to our standards, you know what I'm saying? Like the way we act in public, social media, that can't be done unless it was in-house, but that's not in-house, that's in public. That's what I think.
For sure. Yeah, like kind of like what you said, but I kind of think, I don't know. Like I kind of think like, okay, I've actually sat down and watched like his full lives like a couple times, because there's so much controversy around it. There's a time where I didn't know anything about him, and I'm hearing like some crazy stuff. And I watched his full interview, and some of the things people say about him, like they're kind of like exaggerations. Like you can take a clip of somebody, like the minister, for example. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, right? They'll take a snippet of what he said in the speech, and like make it like that one little snippet might not represent at all what he was saying, and make it look a certain way, right? So I've seen like the 1 minute clip where he's talking to women, you know what I mean? But like they don't show before that when she was getting disrespectful and cuss him out, or they don't show before that where she was explaining her situation and saying she wants a man with this, this, and that, but then she has this, and it's just not lining up. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like definitely a lot of times he's kind of just getting misconstrued. And when it comes to like, I know earlier, like we'll build on this too. Like when it talks about giving credit to Black women, like he did do like something like that, like a topic like, what do women know their community? You know what I'm saying? And I believe like there's definitely times I've heard him give credit. Like Shiraza Ali, for example, gives a lot of credit to her and the work she's done. And she even talks about the older generation. You know what I'm saying? Like he'll even say like about like the good things we did of the Black family structure, and he'll give credit to like the women, but he tries to make like a difference, like, okay, these aren't the same women we're dealing with, so he'll like make like comparisons like that. But I feel like a lot of times he's kind of just misconstrued, and it's kind of just not fair. That's what I gotta say.
Yeah, Ariel, you can go first before I go ahead.
Thank you. So you say that he does compare the women. He said we're not the same or whatever. I don't agree. Like I've watched videos as well where I pretty much seen him play puppet master to these women, where they might have an opinion, but after talking to him for like 2 minutes or 2 seconds, all of a sudden they no longer have that same mindset. They're pretty much feeding into whatever he say. Like I watched a video, and I believe it was talking about do women feel like they're ready for a relationship, or do women feel like it's enough men or enough women for relationships? And a lot of women were saying, they start off saying, yes, they do feel like it's enough women for relationships. And then after hearing him speak, they were saying like, oh, well, you know what? No, it's not enough. And they just wouldn't stand on what they truly believe, because he was pretty much playing like puppet master in my head. Like, I feel like if you feel like, yes, you're dateable and stuff like that, then stand on that. Like a lot of times when women have conversations with him, they don't stand on how they truly feel. They just pretty much go with whatever he's saying. And sometimes I do feel like he's a little bitter. And he acts like that because he only speak on, like, I guess, like a 5% of women. All women don't act like that. Not at all. Like, some of the women that been on his show, I don't act like them, and I don't have those expectations, but yet those are the only type of women he glorified pretty much, and saying like, well, these women feel like they only want this, that. I feel like it's easy for a woman to accept a man who has 5 different children from different women, and it'll be okay in her eyes because she's going to love all of his children like they're her own, and then still have children with him. But if it's reversed, how dare a woman with 5 different kids want me and I don't have any kids? But if it was reversed, she would love all of your children as if she pushed them out herself because she loves you. And whether she's a millionaire or she's only making $25,000 a year, regardless, she's going to love you because she loves you, and she's going to love everything that comes with you. But it's like, for women, how dare you? How dare you? You got all these children because you thought that you could trust a man and love that one man, and it didn't work out. And so happened, you do want better. You do want better. Why should we be shamed for wanting better, even though our relationships didn't work out in the past? If it was reversed, we would not care.
Yeah, I think I agree with some of the things that you're saying as well. But for me, I think Kevin Samuels talks to a certain group, especially men, that men never really had, because as far as black women not liking him, and you know to whatever extent you don't like Kevin Samuels, he is speaking to a group of men that either feel like they don't have their voice heard, or they can't share opinions because they might be canceled, or they may come across the wrong way, or scared. And I think what gets what's a disconnect with Kevin Samuels information. This is one thing that I don't like about it, is because he kind of plays into women's wants and then kind of turns it around to flip them on their head. And I don't know if that's the right thing, because he talks a lot about high value men and men making over $100,000, when most of the women won't come in contact with a guy who is over $100,000. That's literally like 3% of the world. Not saying that it's not possible, but like, even us as men, we're probably never gonna really run into a quote unquote Beyonce or a unicorn of our dreams or something like that. So I think he kind of plays into that, and kind of bringing reality. And how he does it, of course, is entertainment at the expense of black women, which is negative. But also, on the other hand, I will say there was media outlets before Kevin Samuels, as far as and this is not a tit for tat, but I think this is why he's blown up so much. There was outlets for women to bash black men. Um, if he's not making enough, he's not making 40,000, because some people will get on Kevin Samuels' show and say, "Oh yeah, if he's making 50,000, I don't want him, or I don't need him. I need more. I need more money. And no matter how he looks." And of course, that's not the answer for everybody, because some people are okay with people who are making average money. But I think that's kind of the group that Kevin Samuels caters to, and why he has grown such a following, because some men who are, just average men wanting average woman, are kind of looking for that. And, some women, at least that come on his show, are looking for the next level, or the highest level. And so I think with his show, he kind of exposes that to a sense. But also, too, one positive that I can say for his show is that he tries to push marriage and unity. That he kind of, if a woman has multiple babies with a man, he sometimes asks, "Hey, why didn't you and the father get along?" Like, that's probably the best option for you, like to get back with the man. That's the only thing that I would say when he's actually trying to help and give advice to people, and he's not trying to be funny or comedic or be entertaining to kind of grow that audience that he's gained. but that's it though. That's kind of like the only thing that I could see is him trying to push the black marriage, the black marriage concept. But I think he's probably going about it the wrong way.
My
Go ahead.
I was just, my only thing though is like, if men can talk about, women's beauty characteristics and their bodies and like the way they portray themselves, if they can, want a woman that, fits their like checklist, so to speak, why can't a woman also have standards and also want, the man that can provide the most for her and this and that? Like, I think, like it's okay for women to have like those types of standards. I understand the conversation, about, okay, if she has, 4 or 5 kids now with different fathers, okay, the conversation like, oh, but still, like, why can't she still have that same like list requirement if a man also has his, requirements? I feel like it goes back to, women like needing to be like provided for and like that being part of their standards and their lists and what, so to speak. But that was just a thought that just came to my head.
Look, I definitely want to. Y'all, you already know where I'm going with this, man. On social media, I posted something similar to that. So typically, what I see, I don't know about you all, but when women say they want X, Y, and Z from a man, I personally don't see a lot of backlash from men. But when guys say, "Look, I want a woman that does X, Y, and Z," that's nah, you can't go in that direction. You know what I'm saying? So I put up a post like that, expressing the modesty standard that I wanted. And then there are a lot of people that was just like, look, you don't understand this problem. And they attacked me on social media for saying, I want a woman that, that covers up and presents herself a certain way. And, you know how that goes. So, so what do you all think about that in terms of men expressing that sort of issue?
It's funny you just said that, because I was telling Remy today when we were brushing our teeth that I feel like women now need to hold men to the same requirements and that they hold women to. Like, it's easy for men to be like, oh, well, can you cook, can you clean, can you wash? Yes. However, now I'm getting ready to ask, can you change oil, can you fix my tire, do you know how to hang curtains? It's like, it's so easy for a man to be like, well, can you cook for me, can you clean for me, and all this other stuff. Like, I dated a high value man for years, and I don't know why I consider him high value just because he was making a lot, because really, actually, he wasn't as high value as I thought. He wasn't as high value. I thought, like, he made a lot of money. Kudos to him. But high value, he just wasn't there. He just made a lot of money. It was just that. He couldn't really fix, when my car was having trouble, he couldn't fix that. I had to pay somebody else to do it. Definitely wasn't faithful, and emotionally sometimes wasn't there for me either. But he made a lot of money, right? No. So now I'm moving forward, now that I'm older, now that I've gotten past that, I'm okay with dating somebody that's not a high value man, whatever that is.
Yeah, it's a whole bunch of random descriptions. I just leave it out of there. I just leave that out of there.
I mean, when he explains it, it's not just about money. He talks about being useful. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of what he sums it up to be. Now, as far as the money part,
a lot of men don't know how to do that stuff anymore. Like, a lot of men don't know how to work on cars. A lot of men don't. If you're scared, they're probably just as scared as you. A lot of men can't hang or plunge or do a lot of those things anymore, but yet they hold women to the same standards as they did back in their grandparents' day, making sure she know how to cook, clean, and iron and stuff like that. But
yeah, I think we're starting to get to the actual disconnect here. I think men have, on our side at least, I think men have just gone to the point like our only comeback is to say, can you cook or clean? And not saying, a lot of women can't, but I don't think it's just as promoted as much. I don't go into places saying, can you cook or clean? But the money standard for men, at least, has only increased. Like we was talking earlier with social media, if you're not buying her a Birkin, or if you're not paying her rent, if you're not paying for the full date, it's like it's kind of that standard. So I think that's where the disconnect come from, because I definitely hear what you guys are saying, as far as can you cook or clean. I think it's, men kind of saying, okay, if you want me to be a provider and protector, the old school way, are you going to be cooking and cleaning the old school way? So I think that's where that kind of comes from.
And if it's that
Because
way, then
honestly, nobody, yeah,
yeah,
I was just
sure.
gonna say,
If it's
because
that way,
honestly, who's really for real cooking right now? Like, who really throwing down? Okay, you a few. So Yada and Ariel is for real cooking, like for real chefing up. That's about it. Other than that, I can cook myself. I can clean myself as well. And Jamil brought that up in the last podcast. I could cook and clean myself, so I don't need that. It's gonna be extra on top of that. What I'm, not essentially I'm expecting on what I want, but it's not gonna be you cooking or cleaning, because I'm not. I can do that. If we need to eat, you want some pizza tonight, I'll go pick up some pizza, or I'm finna throw in some baked chicken and some rice and broccoli in the microwave in the oven, and we gonna get it cracking like that. I ain't expecting you to do all that, especially, if you working. And I think that's what we need to start talking about, instead of what we're all expecting from the other side, is how we can work with the other side, what the other side is bringing. You know what I'm saying? Like, instead of focusing on, oh, well, if you don't got this, if you can't cook, or you can't fix my tire, then why are you asking for this? Or how about, oh, I can cook, and yo dad or yo uncle know how to fix cars, and now we can work something out like that way, figure out solutions instead of pointing out problems on the other side. So that's more what I'm trying to lean towards, and what I'm trying to focus on more now, because I get tired of the battle, especially seeing on social media, folks asking folks to clean, folks asking folks to buy them Birkins. It's like, can we get with the times now? Ain't none of us cooking and cleaning for real. And ain't none of us, for like, the majority of us aren't buying people Birkins. Like,
Right.
let's talk about real solutions, because we're real people. Let's talk about real stuff. Let's be honest. That's what I got on it. That's my 2 cents.
Oh yeah, Jamil, you got something to say?
Not this time, bro. Y'all good. Y'all good.
I was gonna say I had a point.
My fault if I cut you off, y'all, too.
Oh, you straight. I'm trying to think. It was something you said earlier. I guess kind of like even like gender roles and stuff too. Like Sam brought it up, and Kevin Samuels, right? He says this a lot too. But it's like, if it's gonna be like a traditional way, like if you want the men to do all that, then like I feel like a lot of women have a problem with it being like the traditional way, but they're asking for a traditional man. You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. Like I said, I guess like communication and just understanding, I guess, is a big problem. Because like if you want like men pay for everything, like protect, provide, like we're gonna do those gender roles, then it's like the women have responsibilities too. But it's like sometimes it's like the man is doing this, and that. And then like when it comes to like a woman's responsibility, just from like experience or what I've heard, it's like it's a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like they want a traditional man, but it's like they don't want to be a traditional woman. You know what I'm saying? So what do y'all think of that?
I think it's honestly the choice of women that you're choosing, because it's like, honestly, in my headset, I wouldn't say I would be traditional, because I would still provide financially as well. But in my head, more so like, oh, if you cover the mortgage, I'll cover, like, if the house needs groceries, utility, like toiletries and laundry and like little stuff around the house, because that adds up as well. Like that type of things. But I feel like nowadays men are so obsessed with the stripper fantasy that, of course, you're not going to get a traditional woman out of a let me not say that, but most of the time that the women that men chase, they're not going to get the traditional woman out of them, of course not. But it's women out here that still have those values, that want that's actually looking for that agreement, because that's why I want to get married. I want somebody I could trust to go half on everything with. pretty much to make life easier. And you know, it's women that still want that.
I think